Up to here, actually, you have you are almost at the last point of the research. Means you have the particular research design, you have the sample size, you have the selection procedure, you are using some particular selection procedure for answering the questions. Then you are going to take some data collection methods, and using the data collection methods you have collected the data and you have prepared the data for the experiment. So once you have done the preparation, means you have seen, preparation means you might have, somebody might have collected the data for the classification. Say you have collected the data for the classification, so you may have the data like this also. Okay, somebody may have the data like this. Okay, and this may be the data you have. So once you go for the visualization, you find that okay, these are the data, and sometimes you may have the data here, and some data are here. So you have collected the data. Okay, you may have like this. Now, if your job, once you have collected the data, then you can go for this kind of visualization. And once you visualize, then you see the nature of this data. And if you are going to use the classifier, then say that in this case, if you go for the linear classification, then it is not possible to go for the linear classification. So according to this nature of the data, you have to select the particular method for the classification. So what you need to do, you have to go for non-linear classification method so that you can better uh, predict the boundary. So see that some data can be here also, those who are here. So there must also be, but what you need that you have to classify in such a way that most of the data should be inside the boundary, and cross, most of the cross, those who I'm representing with the cross, those are the outside. Means you try to separate the data from circle and cross. But sometimes it is not possible to 100% separation, then always you have, so this is the known as the accuracy. So what is the accuracy of your classifier? So this is the important of preparation of data. So once you have collected the data, then you need to go for the preparation of the data. And there may be you may need some cleaning, or you can go for the visualization. You can have the pie chart, or you can have the bar graph, you can have the frequency chart. On behalf of that, okay, you have collected the data, you can see that okay, in the frequency chart you see that okay, xyz data is more as compared with the some other data. So there are, these are the ways you can visualize the data. And this is, this kind of visualization, this kind of plotting the graph, bar graph, pie chart, you will learn in the some programming language like MATLAB. So whenever you have data, actually we need to prepare the data for the experimental, so that you can use the appropriate method for the experiment for conducting it. So the in whenever you go for the experimentation, whether you are going for the experimental research design or quantitative, so what you need to do, there is a terms which are used as reproducibility. So you can reproduce the result. So this is the thing that you can reproduce. Means you have conducted the experiment, and on behalf of that, if you have conducted, and whatever results you are going to obtain, if you next time with the same condition, if you are going to conduct, whether you are getting the same result or not. And this is important. This is the case of the reproducibility. And this happen that if you are not able to reproduce the result, then people say that this is the invalid method. So whenever you have to go for the experimentation, you must be sure that if somebody wants to verify your result with the same conditions, then they should get the same answer. So your results, experimental results, should be repeat means it can be reproduced. So you can reproduce it. So reproducibility must be there in the experiment. Otherwise, after publication also, if somebody is going to access your paper and somebody is going to conduct the experiment on behalf of your data, whatever you have mentioned, and if they are getting the different result, then they will claim you. They will claim the authors that okay, you have whatever results you have mentioned, we are not getting the result. So this is the reproducibility. This is very very important in the experimental research designs, or whenever you are going to whenever you are going to uh, predict some conclusions, whether any kind of research design, whether you are qualitative or you can go for the analytic. So if the it is not reproducible, actually you are the scientist, since you are working in this area, you know that what are the factors that are affecting. Say sometimes you might be using the random numbers, so sometimes the random numbers may be different, and if the random numbers are different, you may get the different answers. This may happens also. So whenever you have this kind of situation in your result, then you have to clearly mention that, okay, for this randomization I am getting the result of this, and you can mention. So what factors, on what condition, what value you have get the result of that, you have to clearly mention in at the experimental part of your research paper. So this is very important. So always you could just think that whatever answer you are getting, it is not the one time answer. If people wants to verify, you have made that, okay, five they you might have observed uh, some, and you are going to say that, okay, the xyz class is better than xyz class is better than the xyz dash class by this quality. If you say that this, or the performance of this is score of this class is less than 5%, or by as compared with this class. So whatever you are going to get the conclusions, if you are sending this conclusion, so people, you have the data, on behalf of your data people should be able to verify. If they are not able to verify, then it is not acceptable. So this is very important if you are doing the this kind of research. That's why in the paper you have mentioned that, okay, this is the source of data I'm getting taking. So you just mention the source of data. Okay, I'm taking the data from this source, or I have collected the data from the questionnaire, and you can mention the, you can send the tables. These are the data I have obtained from the questionnaire, so that people can use those data for the verification. And if you have collected the data from the interviews, for example, so you have conducted the interviews, half an hour interviews, and on behalf of the half an hour interview, just like in the selection procedure, you know that if somebody is going to select for some particular post, they are conducting the interviews, and after interviewing the all candidates, they come to know that which candidates to be selected. So this is the qualitative kind of things. So how on behalf of the questioning, it is not the case that if the students A answers two questions and students B answers two questions, it does not mean that both students are going to select. So because the way the students is answering the question, and the way students B is answering the question, and the quality of level of question being asked from the expert, it depends. So if you are conducting the interview, if you are getting the data from the interviews, and if you have conducted the half an hour interviews, then you have recorded the interviews, and later on you have to use the software for generating the summary. And once you have generated the summary, then on behalf of the summary you can make the conclusion, okay, this is the conclusion of this result. So whenever you send some your findings to the publication, then you have to send the recording of the interview, as well as the recording, as well as the summarization of that recording, so that people can verify, because this is the only way to verify. Otherwise nobody will come to know that whatever conclusion you have made, nobody will be able to answer. So you have to send the recording. Once you send the paper for the publication, for the review process, you have to send the, along with the paper, you have to send the recording also, so that people can verify he has collected the data from this kind of interviews, and this is the conclusion, this is the summary produced by this interview, and from this summary this is the conclusion, then they will can verify. So that's why once you go for the experimentation, then you have to take care that if people wants to verify, then they must be able to verify. If they are not able to verify, then there is some flaw in your there is some difficulties in your research work, and you have to remove such kind of difficulty. So must be careful about this. Now what you have done, you have data, you have prepared the data, you have done the experiment. Now you have to go for the analysis. So you can go for the analysis, whether the quantitative analysis of the data, or you can You can say that this is quantitative analysis 5% more or 5% less. You can say like this is the judgment, this may be the analysis. Or you can, in the quantitative analysis, you can compute, you can use the statistical method, like you have to go for the mean, variance, mode, and you can find out the range, and you can find out the standard deviations. So you know the Z test and other kind of testing, how to test the hypothesis. All such capabilities you have to use at this point. If you are having the qualitative analysis, then how you can prove, how you can do the analysis. And if you have number of methods available for the same problem, if you have the number of methods available, you this one method you may have, and this is your method, for example. So how can you say that among the available methods there may be the many more methods? So actually you need to, this is also your job to identify the similar work. What are the similar work? So people are doing the work, you need to know that who are the scientists, they are working in your area, and you have to see their findings on the same problems. And if it means you need to compare your results with those. So how you can compare? So there are number of ways you can compare. For the computer scientist, those who are working in the computer, they can go for the analysis, theoretical analysis you can do, and you can say that okay, my algorithm takes time less as compared with these algorithms. So somebody will come to know that okay, he has derived some mechanism or some formulation, so that his formulation takes less time as compared with the available. So this is the analysis you have to do. The analysis can be in the time also, or analysis can be in the space requirement of your method. So you may say that okay, with this much number of, my method requires less storage as compared with these methods. Okay, or you can say that for training of such algorithms, it takes large amount of data, but my algorithm can be trained with the small amount of data. So in this way, if you have the small size of data, and with the small size of data, if you are able to do the same thing, you are taking the less storage. This means that you have to analyze your result. Until you give the analysis, people are not going to accept your method. So analysis is very, very important. So whether you can go for the statistical analysis, or whether you can go for the quantitative judgment, or whether you can go for the qualitative analysis, you have to go. So always after conduction of the research work, you have to do the analysis, and this is the very, very important. And how you can present the analysis? You can present the analysis on behalf of the tables, or you can compare. Okay, so you can present the analysis on behalf of the table, or on behalf of the graphs, or on behalf of the some pie chart, or any other mechanisms. So, or you can simply mention the conclusions, simply write the statements of your conclusion. So for presenting your analysis for experimental results, you can use the uh, simple statements. You can conclude your statement, or you can go for some mechanism, construction of table or comparison chart, or whatever you can going to use. Okay, so always actually this is very, very, and this page is actually very important, because if you are not able to do the analysis, if you are not able to see the correlation between the variables, okay, then, or if you are not able to see the result whatever you have obtained with the similar research, this is also important. So that's why these are the similar research have been done, and you have to position your work as compared with this similar result. why people why people should prefer your method as compared with these two methods? So you have to give the answer that okay, yes, because of this benefit of my algorithm in this situation, this method will be very beneficial. You can say like this. Your method may not be useful at every time, but there must be some advantage of your method, means your method must be useful in some particular situations. Then you can say that okay, earlier methods are not able to use in this particular situation, but my method is able to use in this particular situation. So this is also a new way to solve. If this situation comes, then you can adopt my algorithm. So this is the way you are going to analyze your algorithm, and this is the crucial task. If you miss this task, then you are not able to add into the body of knowledge. until this analysis people are not going to publish your paper. And if paper is not going to publish means you are unable to aid this into the body of knowledge. So this is very important. Analysis is very important for you. Then you know that once you have done the analysis, and once you have the conclusions, once you have the report, research reports, okay, or you have to present, you have posters, you have made the posters, or you have written the papers, you might have written the papers for the conference or journals, like the thing. So at this time actually, whatever you have conducted the experiment and whatever is your result you have analyzed, and you come to know that okay, this method, this finding is useful. And if this finding is useful, then what you need to do, you should not limit to yourself only. If you know some new information, then it's your duty that you should convey to other people. Okay, this is the information, new information available. Okay, so for informing the other peoples that okay, this is also the new work have been done, and this is the conclusion, you need to publish your paper. And you are publishing your paper, it means you are aiding into the body of knowledge. So this is the benefit of research. If you are not going to aid into the body of knowledge, then people are not getting the benefit from your research. You know the findings only, but other peoples are not knowing the findings. So it, that's why you have to transfer the knowledge. So this is the way of transformation. So you are going to transfer this knowledge so that other people can get the benefit. And hence this is your duty, that you have to produce the paper, you have to publish the paper in good journals, so that it should be better accessible, and the people can from any corner can access your paper frequently. So this is important, and this page is very very important. Actually now you have done everything.